Imagine taking a shortcut along a quiet country road. You glance toward a discarded cardboard box lying in the weeds.
At first, it seems like someone's forgotten trash.
But as you step closer, you realize something is terribly wrong. Inside the box lies the body of a young boy.
No name, no missing persons report, no family searching for him. No one comes forward to claim him.
For decades, America would know him by only one heartbreaking name: the boy in the box. Even today, after generations of detectives searched for the truth, one haunting question still echoes through history. Who was this little boy, and who wanted the world to forget he ever existed? Philadelphia in February 1957 was a city growing rapidly after World War II. Neighborhoods expanded, families settled into new homes, children filled schools and playgrounds. On the surface, life appeared ordinary, but only a few miles outside the city, events were unfolding that would become one of America's most heartbreaking unsolved child homicide investigations. On February 25, 1957, according to police records, a young muskrat trapper entered a wooded area in the Fox Chase section of Philadelphia. The area was quiet. Sparse trees stretched across open ground. Illegal dumping was common there. Old furniture, broken appliances, discarded boxes. The trapper noticed a cardboard carton lying among the brush. He later admitted he avoided reporting it immediately because he feared officers might confiscate his traps, which had been placed illegally. Several days later, another passerby entered the same area. This time, the discovery could no longer be ignored. Inside the cardboard box, authorities found the body of a small boy. He appeared to be between 4 and 6 years old. The discovery stunned investigators. The child had no identification, no note, no personal belongings, nothing to explain who he was or how he had ended up there. Police immediately secured the scene, understanding that every minute mattered. Every footprint, every fiber, every object could hold the key to identifying the child. Yet from the very beginning, the investigation faced an almost unimaginable obstacle. No one had reported him missing. According to the medical examiner's findings, he was a young boy with fair skin and light-colored hair. He appeared to have been recently bathed. His fingernails had been trimmed. His hair had been cut shortly before his death. These details immediately puzzled investigators. Someone had cared for the child's appearance, yet no one had come looking for him. One noticeable surgical scar suggested he had received medical treatment during his life. Surely doctors, hospitals, or relatives might recognize him. Authorities distributed detailed descriptions across the region. Photographs were sent to police departments. Hospitals reviewed patient records. Schools were contacted. Orphanages were checked. Churches were asked whether anyone recognized the boy. Thousands of tips poured in. Each lead offered hope. Each lead eventually reached a dead end. The child still had no name, but detectives believed the objects left behind might tell a story. Sometimes the smallest detail becomes the biggest clue. According to police reports, the child had been found inside a cardboard box that originally contained a bassinet sold by a department store. Investigators carefully traced the box through shipping records and retail distribution, hoping someone might remember buying it. Thousands of sales records were reviewed, employees were interviewed, stores cooperated with police, yet no witness could identify who had purchased the bassinet. Wrapped around the child, investigators also found a blanket. Police carefully examined the material. Textile experts studied its manufacture. Investigators attempted to trace where similar blankets had been sold. Like the cardboard box, the blanket produced many possibilities, but none that identified the child. Realizing conventional investigative methods were failing, police made a difficult decision. They released photographs of the child to newspapers, hoping anyone would recognize him. The images appeared across Philadelphia and then across the United States, telephone lines filled with calls. People believed they recognized the child. Parents feared he resembled missing relatives. Every lead was investigated. One after another, each ended without identification. For more than 60 years, he was known only as the boy in the box. Then modern forensic genealogy transformed the investigation entirely. According to the Philadelphia Police Department, advances in DNA analysis allowed investigators to work with forensic genealogists to trace the child's biological family. In December 2022, authorities publicly identified the child. His name was Joseph Augustus Zarelli. For the first time since 1957, America's unknown child finally had his identity restored. The announcement marked one of the most significant breakthroughs in the history of cold case investigations. Genetic genealogy helped identify Joseph through distant biological relatives. Family history records gradually connected the missing pieces. Investigators located members of Joseph's biological family and confirmed his birth date, his parents, and other documented family information. However, police have publicly stated they are not releasing every investigative detail. While the homicide investigation remains open, detectives continue examining family history, witness statements, and historical evidence. Even after identifying Joseph, the investigation was far from over. Although Joseph Augustus Zarelli had finally been identified, his homicide investigation remained open. Investigators continue reviewing every available piece of evidence. Witnesses are still being interviewed. Historical records continue to be examined. Over the decades, numerous theories have emerged. Some received significant media attention. Others were investigated directly by police. However, authorities have consistently reminded the public that theories are not evidence. The medical examination suggested Joseph had received medical care during his lifetime. Researchers have suggested this may indicate he had been living with adults responsible for his care. One of the most discussed theories came from a woman publicly identified only as Martha, who claimed Joseph had lived with her family and described circumstances surrounding his death. Some details she provided appeared consistent with known evidence. However, investigators were unable to independently verify key parts of her account. Law enforcement never confirmed it as the solution. Until investigators officially announce a conclusion, the identity of the person responsible remains unknown. For decades, visitors came to the child's grave. Many left flowers, toys, and notes. Some simply stood in silence. They did not know his name, but they wanted him to know he had not been forgotten. After investigators identified him as Joseph Augustus Zarelli, something changed. He was no longer simply the boy in the box. He became a child with a history, a family, and an identity. In February 1957, a small cardboard box was discovered beside a quiet road. Inside was a little boy who had no name. Detectives searched for decades, thousands of leads, countless interviews, generations of investigators, and one promise, that the child would never be forgotten. Thanks to advances in forensic genealogy, the world now knows him as Joseph Augustus Zarelli. His identity has been restored, but his story is still unfinished. Somewhere the final answer may still exist. Perhaps in an old photograph of forgotten memory, a witness who has never spoken, or evidence waiting to be discovered. Until then, Joseph's story reminds us why cold cases matter. Because every victim deserves a name, every family deserves answers, and every child deserves justice.